Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the reimagined Cool Down Lap podcast by Midwest Motorsports. Just like to go through some quick introductions with our hosts here. We have four of them. I myself, Anthony Castor, the rules admin for Midwest Motorsports, driver of the number 8 for the Cup Series car. I'll go ahead and let the other host, Eric, introduce himself.
Hey guys, what's going on out there? Eric Taylor, driver to the number 15 Truck Series and Cup, and we'll throw it over to Justin here.
Hey, good evening and welcome, Justin Taylor, 00 racing currently in the Road Series, Truck Series, and the Cup Series.
And
Happy New Year, everybody. Sorry, this is James J. I'm a commentator for the Truck Series on Friday evenings and the Road Series on Tuesday evenings, part of the awesome broadcast team. And glad to be here.
Thanks for showing up, guys. So speaking of New Year's, everybody have a good New Year's break?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Nothing major, man. Just doing stuff at the house that you don't get done during the regular regular season or whatnot. So pretty relaxing.
Yeah. Justin?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Nothing too crazy going on. So it's kind of nice to just chill out, relax, not really get into too much stuff. How about you?
Oh man, I sat on the couch and slept early. James, what'd you get into?
Yeah, I'm on the couch with you, Ant. Put my feet up, trying to keep the domesticated animals from freaking out with all the fireworks going on.
Oh man, yeah, that's a nuisance this time of year. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get this podcast started. We're going to open with some notable news in the motorsports world. So I will go ahead and lead off. It isn't something that happened recently, but it is something that I feel is a good topic to start with. With Ford and Toyota switching the front ends and basically how their cars look. How do you guys feel about that? Do you like the front ends of the Ford or the Toyota more?
As a Ford guy, I do like the look of the new one. The Dark Horse.
Yeah.
What kind of changes that's going to make on the track, or arrow wise, or are they going to have more benefit than they did this year because they were struggling there for a while. The Ford product was, and seemed like the only outfit that could find some speed was Roush Fenway, and then or RFK, I should say, and then towards the end was Penske. But I'm curious to see what kind of changes that's going to make for the Ford fleets out there. And the Toyota, honestly, I think it's ugly duckling. The Camry, the old Camry, definitely was a little more appealing than the new one. So we'll see what some of these guys on iRacing can do to dress those cars up a little bit, because right now they're not appealing to me. But that's my opinion.
Of course. Justin, you got any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm kind of neutral. Doesn't really upset me or make me thrill. But I mean, Ford's got to go with the newest, quote unquote body style that they're putting in the showroom floor. So I can take it or leave it. It doesn't really do anything.
I am kind
positive or negative.
I am a little bit dreading the day that they do update the paint schemes in iRacing. So I'll have to go back in and redo the paints that I've done for the Cup car. So that's always a fun a fun few hours. But other than that, I mean, I'm more partial to Ford, obviously, but I do like the look of the Dark Horse.
Yeah, James, what are your thoughts on it?
I think I think NASCAR's in a tough position. Well, any race organizer's in a tough spot to, balance the performance thing. It's always a tough spot to get a level the playing field, so to speak. So I personally am a function over form type of attitude that I hope they're fast. I'm tired of the Fords complaining that their front end is keeping them from doing better on the track, but we'll see if the new one has any change of that. Maybe might affect the way it drafts on the super speedways or bump drafts on the super speedways if it's a pusher or does better on the track. And so if that makes a difference, time will tell, or even if it is just, like the snake oil thing, like the excuse for something else being the problem. But I just I'm a NASCAR fan, man. I want to see him do good.
Of course. Yeah, me being a Chevy guy, I'm kind of interested to see where Chevy goes since this is the last year for the Camaro. I couldn't imagine them putting a Corvette nose on that and trying to push somebody with that pointy nose.
Yeah,
Eric,
that might be interesting. I am curious on that as well, Ant. Like, what are they going to do? For a while there, they had, when the Camaro was gone, they had the
Monte
SS.
Carlo.
Well,
Yeah.
remember this, the SS, right?
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah. That was like Gen. It was the next gen, or not next gen. The
the
car of tomorrow.
COT. Yeah, there was the COT days, right? And
Yeah.
it just was a Chevy emblem on the front of a car. Like didn't resemble anything, right? So.
Yeah. Eric, what do you got for this week?
I guess I'm a big NASCAR fan, so in racing news, it was sad to see, Cale Yarborough pass away. I'm hopeful that y'all listening know who Cale Yarborough is, but he was a legend and in the 70s, 80s, and whatnot, and obviously he was kind of in the elder years, but definitely a well-rounded driver, and when those guys go, it's always sad for the racing world. So the passing of him and whatnot is probably the most eventful thing that's happened in the last week or so in my mind. But there's definitely a lot of things that have happening during this off season, right?
Yeah, for sure. It was cool to see all the outpouring of support for him. I seen Kyle Petty posted a picture, him and Kale kind of doing a stand-in. Richard Petty, the whole Petty Enterprises released something. It was cool to see the outpouring of support just to prop him up. Either you two, Justin, James, want to add anything on to Kale?
Not just a legend of the sport. I mean, kind of those guys are real. They paved their way a lot differently into the sport than a lot of guys in the last maybe a couple of decades have. So, all those guys who made a name for themselves just grinding it out and scraping pennies and all that other stuff just to make it to where they were, or kind of coming to the checkered flag, so to speak. So it's always kind of just to pay homage to those guys is pretty important if you're a fan of the sport or not. If just a fan of general any type of motor racing.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Justin. His first race, I just looked him up on the Racing Reference a little bit earlier. 1957. NASCAR was way different back in the 50s when they're doing, 50 and 60 races a season. Driving on an open trailer on, across the country to race NASCAR. Yeah, it was a totally different time. And it looked like he got 3 championships in a row at the top series in 76, 77, and 78. 3 championships in a row. So, I mean, like you said, Eric, a legend of the sport. It's sad to see him go.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Justin, what do you got to share for the week?
Quite honestly, I don't think I have much. Just really excited to get back to our road series here local, here and at Midwest Motorsports, and gearing up, I guess, for some of the iRacing special events. Just kind of waiting for real life racing, NASCAR and F1 to come back, and I can spend my Saturdays and Sundays watching some racing.
Oh yeah, man, it's coming up quick. Yeah, the Roar before the 24 is coming up, correct? When is that?
Yep, that is the 12th, Friday the 12th to the 14th. So I think a lot of guys here are going to run the 5 p.m. time slot for Friday. There's really not a lot of good options if you look at the times for for anybody in North America, which is kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. But thinking about just running the TCR car class. Hopefully, get into a decent split and do pretty well. It's a solo race for 2 hours and 44 minutes, I believe.
Mhm.
Wow. So anybody listening that's running in our league, you at least know the 5 p.m. split. You're going to see some other guys from the league out there. So be sure to join in and have some fun.
Sounds like a long race, Justin. What kind of practice do you do for a 2 hour, 45-minute race? Do you know your fuel load going in, your number of laps, and how long the tires are going to last? Do you kind of work out your strategy before the race and the practice? What's the prep for that race like?
Oh, absolutely. I've actually been doing quite a couple of AI races, so thankfully, the Daytona Roval and TCR are all part of the iRacing AI session stuff. So just doing a race. I'm still trying to nail down like a full hour long race. So trying to figure out my strategy. I think it's definitely going to be a one stop, for sure. I think from what I've seen so far, it'll be a one stop. But I've run an hour straight, and might take tires, just the fronts though. The rears aren't wearing too bad, but the TCR cars are all front wheel drive. So anytime you ask that front axle to not only steer but also drive the vehicle, they're definitely going to chew up the tires a little more than it would a rear wheel drive. So just practice, practice, practice.
Words to live on. James, what do you got for the week?
Well, I know you guys might guess, but my name's James Johnson, so I'm a Jimmy Johnson fan. So I'm probably the most excited about 2024, about seeing what Legacy Motor Club's going to do, switching manufacturers to Toyota and bringing on Eric Jones. I think that's going to be fun to see. Eric Jones is a Toyota guy through and through, spends a lot of time in Toyota's sim, which I know is like the state of the art, the one everybody wants to go to. And I also think that Toyota has a different concept of their motor distribution, or the engine, the power plant distribution. And they say they don't play favorites. I mean, it's impossible. No two motors are going to be exactly the same. And when you got, 5 teams running 4 cars each, you're not going to get 20 motors that run the same. So somebody's going to get a better engine. But just seeing how Toyota distributes their power to who, I think it's a big change. Jimmy Johnson's legacy, um, well, Legacy Motor Club, no pun intended there, but he's a Chevy guy through and through. Every race he ever ran was with the Chevy. So to see him go to Toyota was a shock. My jaw dropped when I heard that. You guys too, huh?
Oh,
my
yeah,
God.
for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's going to be a storyline I'm watching in 24.
Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting one there. Seeing more Toyotas than just the Joe Gibbs cars. It's always been just Joe Gibbs and then Denny Hamlin with his 3 cars, and it's going to be interesting to see another team out there. So I'm interested in seeing how the season plays out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to run the race, right? I mean, it's easy to speculate and, you have your fan favorite, but I mean, when do you start to see how things are going to go through the season? Do you wait till the first road course? Do you wait till Everybody goes through a super speedway, intermediate, and a short track, and then kind of guess where the season's going to go? Or when do you start picking the favorites in it?
I mean, in all honesty, it's hard to pick favorites anymore with the playoff setup, because as soon as you pick a car you think's hot, look at Martin Truex. Everybody thought he was going to win it last season, and then bam, he was just out. So I mean, it's hard with that playoff setup anymore to pick a hot car, but
It is. You can find speed. Look at. I'm a big Blaney fan, but at the end of the day, I didn't see him winning the championship.
no.
He had a rough season. Top half until about September come along, and then he turned it right up. So, it anymore is even with the next gen, it's kind of shocking to see some of the guys win that do win, and some of the struggles that they have, and the next week they come out and dominate. So it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that's going to wrap up our section of the show there, where we kind of just go through something that we find interesting throughout the week and just kind of want to share it with you guys. Be on the lookout for some polls in the Discord. We're going to work on getting some polls up in the Twitch, just to kind of get your guys' feedback on how you guys feel about these topics and such. So it might not happen this show, but in future shows, be on the lookout for polls, and we'd love to get your guys' feedback just to see how you guys feel about these topics. So with all that said, we're going to go ahead and head into the truck series, which was at New Hampshire Motor Speedway over the weekend. It looks like it was a fun race, about 15 cautions, 150 laps. Good showing. It looks like Eric qualified on the pole for the race and ultimately ended up winning the race. Eric, you want?
Domination.
Yeah, domination. 127 laps led, I'd say so.
Yeah, that was well, just call spade a spade. It was a good race for me. That's I've said it before. When James interviews me and whatnot, that flat tracks are my favorite. For some reason, I can always find speed there and be able to manage tires really really well, and tend to keep it somewhat in the front of the pack. But I do enjoy racing those tracks and things, and it is I love getting into a rhythm at those tracks and finding the breaking points and where to back them up and when to back them up and so on and so forth. So I do enjoy those tracks, like I said, and luckily I wound up getting a little bit of a points lead too after that race, and also getting into the stage points lead, and some that we talked about in real life. Like, I didn't have a very good start to my season. It was pretty mediocre, and in some cases was terrible. So I feel like hopefully now I can start to get some better finishes and try to maintain that lead going into our chase. So looking forward to it. Not too many weeks left before our chase. So hopefully there's some more chase points to be had and better position going in.
Yeah, of course. Justin, it looks like you brought home a 6th place finish there. How'd the race turn out for you, man?
Yeah, it was all right. Struggled to qualify well there, and then I think I took 5th in stage 1 and 2, so I was able to finally get some chase points for me in the truck series, and then just a good clean finish. It was hard to pass there, and so much battling back and forth, and just trying to keep the truck clean all night was pretty much my main focus. But finally had a good run. on Friday night. So I was happy with where I ended up.
Yeah, it looked like we had a pretty good top 5 there. Albert Williams coming in second. The 11 of Denny Reinsettel came in third.
Oh,
I had to do that, Dustin. I had to. Fourth was Brandon Thayer, the 46. Those guys, yeah, all three of those guys typically have speed anytime I race them in Cup. So it's nice to see some people with speed getting out there and turning some laps and producing. That's good to see.
Mhm.
Justin, where were you throughout most of the race? Would you say you were up front? Would you say you were kind of middle of the pack?
I was kind of hanging around 10th position, I would say. I got lucky. I mean, I avoided some of the incidents, so I was able to sneak through a couple of them. But I kind of always hovered around and somewhere around 10th and higher. I think my highest position I was maybe up into 4th, but ended up losing a spot, a couple laps ago in one of the stages. But just a good run. I really wasn't doing uh, anything too drastic. I probably, looking at it now, I probably should have, once the tires started wearing, I probably should have started shifting, up on entry and through the middle of the corners, but I kind of just kept it in 4th the whole way around. But just try to, like I said, try to keep it clean and just take what I was given. It was hard to kind of really pass there without doing anything too drastic. I couldn't wrap the bottom. A couple guys I know were wrapping the bottom really well, but I was kind of 2 to 3 lanes up, just trying to carry momentum through the corners.
Yeah. James, what were you seeing? Seeing as how you were the eye in the sky there, did you see anything that kind of stuck out for you?
There was a lot of action going on in the middle of the pack, a lot of really good racing. I mean, it's like Justin was saying, the middle lane to the top lane seemed to be where most of the guys were running, but in order to pass, you had to kind of get out of your comfort zone and go down low. Eric, 15 restarts, I mean, okay, the leader's got a little bit of advantage, but he always started down low. And once he got in the restart zone, I mean, obviously the rules say he starts the race. So he kind of got up and then was able to run his own line, and nobody could catch him. Although Albert Williams did, the 81 did hang wide a couple times and for at least a lap or two. I mean, I think Albert Williams in the 81 is overdue for a win. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he was fast, and I was nervous there at the end because he was definitely catching me in some longer runs, where he would close the gap on me a little bit, and if there was a 20 lap shootout to the checkered, rather than a green white caution. I think it would have been a little bit more of side by side racing come into those last 5 laps, but hands down, he was definitely the car I was looking at, or truck I should say, was looking after to kind of make sure I kept him in my rear view and whatnot. But kudos to him. He definitely did run a good race last week for sure.
I think the other thing I think we'd be crazy not to mention is that, man, we had 31 trucks. I mean, that is a huge entry in a short track. Yeah, there were 15 cautions. That's going to happen when you're at a short track. Okay, a mile track, but it's still pretty much a short track with flat, no banking, and low traction, a lot of horsepower and small tires. So cautions are going to happen, especially with some guys newer than others and people figuring out their truck and their driving and how to drive against each other. So I just think it's awesome to have a 31 truck field. Yeah, there's a lot of pacing laps, but I think that the race was worth running. I think it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to call. There was action up and down and everywhere, and a lot of good racing going on. So I'm looking forward to the next race. Although it's a road course. So I don't know what the trucks are going to do at a road course at Brands Hatch.
James, just to make a comment, about the cautions and whatnot, and there's a saying that cautions breed cautions, right? Because you bundle all those trucks back up, and especially late in a race like that, even within 30 to go, people are starting to make a little stronger moves and take risks that maybe they wouldn't have made in the first couple stages, which is fine. But there comes a point in time as well where we gotta just maintain our pace, and if the guy's faster, the guy's faster. But cautions do breed cautions. You have that, and in real life racing with the truck series, if you watch any of those races as well, they tend to get to beating and banging there at the end and whatnot, and some of it is the product that the truck does bring, because they're very aero sensitive and whatnot. So, if you do get into a little cleaner air, you do have a little better advantage. But again, cautions breed cautions.
I think that's another opportunity to talk about, as people progress in their sim racing career, I guess if you could say, some guys have been doing this longer than others and understand that, okay, it's lap 20 or lap 30 and it's a 150 lap race. Do I just let this guy go and maybe get him later on and try to just get 3 positions ahead of where I qualified instead of trying to, fight really hard for 23rd instead of 22nd, How long did it take you or anybody that's on the panel to learn to just kind of stay calm, keep it cool, and just follow for a little bit and not defend so hard or not be so aggressive to pass and gain a spot for 18th?
I think it took the league racing to really understand that and learn that the most. And it's more or less that you're racing around the same guys every week. You want to maintain some sort of rapport with those guys that you're racing around, right? To where you take the opens and whatnot on iRacing. You don't know Joe Schmo from the next guy, right? So those guys seem to have no respect sometimes and whatnot, and um, again, in my opinion, I think it took running in different leagues and running, and then essentially building this one, kind of took that to the next level for me, is from that aspect of it, right? Like make moves when you can, and what your ability is, but also be very conscious of the move you're making, and can you actually do it.
Yeah, I want to kind of piggyback off of that, Eric. You make a great point there with league racing. You see that person every week if you both are participating every week. So the last thing I'd want is ruffle feathers with somebody. And I mean, I know the running joke in the league is that the 8 and the 00 are plotting to take each other out every race, but we give each other space. We race respectfully of each other, and I mean, I try and run that way with everybody, just because I don't want to be going into that corner trying to win my first race and the guy behind me be the guy wrecked,
Yeah.
and him take that away from me, or just end my night super early. So that's something that league racing, you learn really quick not to race like a Yahoo and just throw your car wherever you want to, because it will come back eventually and bite you.
Mhm.
All right, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the Truck Series points where they run right now. It's looking like Eric is in the lead with the points over Dustin Reinstedel. Dustin's about 24 points behind. Thaler, Justin, man, you're in third place, man. You're looking pretty behind that wheel there.
I don't know how I did that.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a good group there. Brandon Thayer's up there. I mean, you guys, Albert Williams, you guys are going to have some competition there for that number one spot. It's looking like as we're boiling down towards the end of the season here.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and take a look at the stage points, playoff points here, and take a quick look and see what they have.
Yeah, don't forget Mike Samia too. He missed New Hampshire. I'm not sure if it was a family thing or a holiday thing, but he was up there in the points and slipped down a lot by missing that race. But he'll be in the playoffs too. I think he's racked up some playoff points that you're about to tell us, Ant.
Yeah, see, I'm always so used to running against Gamia in the Xfinity series. I always forget that he runs in trucks. That's good though that he's branching out and running in more series. It looks like our playoff points here, stage points accumulated throughout the season. Eric has a lead on that over Dustin. Looks like by about 9 points. He could shrink that out, and then the rest of the field's kind of behind on that. So these two are going to have an advantage going into the playoffs over top of the third place down. But again, there's races left here, guys, where you guys can make up some of this difference and we'll make this a closer race here in the playoffs. Eric, James, Justin, either you guys got anything to comment on with the points?
No, truck super competitive.
Last season's champion, Dustin Reinstedt, definitely don't count him out.
I never count out the 11 or the 15. It's just something that doesn't happen. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and pivot into the Xfinity series. So the Xfinity series was in, looks like Rockingham Speedway over the weekend. It looks like Brandon Morris won that race, and from what I've seen of the film, it looked like he pulled away quite a bit in some of those stages, and it looked like he kind of ran away with it a little bit. Was I looking at that incorrectly, Eric, or was that kind of what was happening?
No, that's pretty much what happened. Brandon did an amazing job at Rockingham. Was fairly dominant the whole race. Would he'd stretch his legs and get a good lead going, and whoever was in second just couldn't close the gap. So, good race run by Brandon. A few days ago, and seems to be a track he's figured out.
Yeah, it kind of looked like he had a good bit of speed, so I wasn't sure if he was practicing just for that one in particular, kind of circle it on your calendar kind of race, or if he just felt good at the track. I know I've had some races where you kind of settle into a groove in practice and everything just feels good. But it looks like Brandon brought it home in first, leading 98 laps. Yeah, that does lend it to him kind of running away with it. Michael Scamillo with second, Brandon Thayer third, Cody Anderson in fourth, Colin Huffman in fifth. Yeah, just kind of looking through it. Got some notables there. Jason Huffman bringing home 12th place. Looks like he's about a lap down. Josh Watts bringing home 13th. It looks like a good group out here. Everybody kind of ran a pretty decent race. It looks like 10 cautions for 40 laps. I'm sure a bunch of those were kind of one incident after another. I'm sure it wasn't the entire race.
Yeah, it was, and I mean, I'd say definitely the I guess the biggest mover in that one. I'd give the shout out to Colin there. I mean, he started 10th and rallied for a 5th place finish and whatnot. Brandon Thayer, he started 9th and rallied for a 3rd. So, definitely shout out to Colin and Brandon for that last ditch effort to get to the front.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. Looks like they had to make some speed up there to pull ahead and get ahead of some people there. I'm gonna have to ask Jason what in the world happened. Looked like he started fourth and kind of fell back. I'll have to get a hold of him and see what in the world happened there. How was the racing in that race? I mean, it looked kind of chippy at times, kind of looked like some cars got into other cars.
Yeah, I'll. There's a lot to that track that me personally could be desired. It's very bumpy. If you put your car in the wrong spot, it's definitely hard to handle. So, some of that may have bred into, some of the cautions. I did notice there towards the end a little bit of patience could have went a long way, but kind of, was wearing thin on some of the guys. But it definitely there were some cautions that probably could have been avoided for sure, but the track is difficult, don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you have that in every race though, where you have cautions that are avoidable, and they just end up happening. I mean, that's how racing goes. And that track, watching the film, it looked bumpy as all get up.
Mhm.
So I mean, it looked like them guys would have been bouncing around a lot. James, you got any insight into Xfinity, or want to have anything you want to say or ask?
Not really. I think 22 races. This was race 9, so it's still early. I think anything can happen, just like all the other series. I mean, it's a accumulation of the season racing, and Xfinity Racing has definitely put on some good races this year. So it's going to be exciting to see what's next.
Of course. Justin, anything to add?
No, I don't think so.
Okie dokie.
They're going road course racing next week too, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they are. They're also going to Brands Hatch as well, Eric?
No, they will be at the wonderful and beautiful Canadian Motorsports Park.
I don't know what's so wonderful and beautiful about that.
A lot of blind crests, a long straight after a tight hairpin. So there's a couple of good passing zones right here.
Yeah. It's another track I enjoy is Canadian Motorsports Park, but it reminds me a lot of Mid Ohio for some reason. Yeah, it is a fun track to run. I do like that track. So yeah, you might catch me in an Xfinity car next weekend.
There you go. Everybody who runs Xfinity, be ready. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and move on to the Xfinity Series points and just kind of take a look at those and see how everything is shaking out so far into the season. It looks like Dustin has the lead over Michael Scamilla. Scamilla is about 64 points behind. Drew Alvarez in third. Looks like he's 84 points back from the lead. Corbin Fleckenstein is 103 back from the lead, and Clarence Prince is 112 back from the lead. So it's looking like the Xfinity points are starting to kind of stretch out there. It looks like Dustin's kind of stretching his lead in that series over the rest of the field. And
Yeah,
it's good.
Definitely has the advantage on regular season there for sure.
For sure. Yep. We're gonna go ahead and switch over to the stage points. Kind of go through those as well, and just kind of see where everything's shaking out with overall stage points. So looks like Dustin is also leading the overall stage points. It's looking like Scamilla's in second, Albert Williams in third, and Brandon Morris in fourth. So there is a discrepancy there in points too. So fortunately, there's some time left in the season, so Scamilla could make up some space on Dustin. Albert Williams, who's been running some really good, he has really good pace. Like I said, in Cup, I've noticed trucks. It looks like he can run it. I don't see any reason why in Xfinity he can't put his foot down and make up some spots as well. Oh, our resident Brit Ben's on that list. Look at that. For 86, Ben Liverland with some points. I tell you, when that guy runs, you have to watch out. He usually spanks the house. All right, so wrapping up Xfinity, we're going to kind of go to a shortened Cup and Road Series segment here, guys. So the the Cup Series and the Road Series have kind of been off for the last 2 weeks. And in the meantime, we've actually put together 2 fun runs that we ran. Justin, you want to go ahead and just kind of just detail what the first fun run was?
Yeah, so the first one, first time we ever did it, but kind of wanted to do something to where basically anybody across all 4 of our series could kind of all get into either, the cars they typically run or try one of the other cars. So our first one was at the Cup layout of Watkins Glen. So we had all the next gen, the Xfinity, the trucks, and then for our road series guys, since we typically run GT4 as our series on Tuesdays, but to limit the car models due to iRacing's limitations, we all ran the GR86. So we had quite a few guys, and it was a blast. The GR86 was hilariously fun to battle with some of the NASCAR guys. Just to if they'd blow by you, down the front stretch. But if you were in the GR86, you could kind of outbrake them, and then you're kind of side by side coming up into the S's, and then they go by on that straightaway leading to the bus stop, and then kind of the same thing. The 86 will kind of carry more speed through the bus stop and wind up battling them again at the carousel. So it was just a lot of fun. And then the other night we did a kind of the same concept, but we kind of figured maybe the GR86s were a little too slow. So to shake it up, we had the road option to be the Radical SR8, and we ran at the Charlotte Roval. So a lot different. Now this time, all the Radical guys through the infield were just blowing the doors off of anybody in an Xfinity truck or next gen. But as soon as you kind of hooked up onto the oval side of Charlotte, anybody was just completely blown the doors off the Radicals. So it was a lot of fun. Just something cool to kind of get everybody across all our series kind of involved in something, and it's just for fun, but everybody's very respectful with knowing who's kind of faster and everything else, and allowing traffic management to play out and just be respectful. So it was really cool to see that across every series and every driver. And I know a lot of the oval guys probably aren't crazy about the road course selection for those fun runs, but we might have something in store for the next one that involves oval.
Yeah, we were talking before we actually went on air. I think it's before you joined in the chat, and I was saying I need to try and coerce you into putting the Cup cars out on Bathurst.
Yeah. I still want to do a Martinsville Miata race.
Yes, that would be awesome too.
Mhm.
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I felt like the racing was super respectful in the Watkins Glen.
Was it?
It's sorry, buddy.
Was it?
I mean, it was. It was at times. It was at times. We'll say that. The eight car did strike the 00 once going down the front stretch, and I will never hear the end of it.
Strike? Is that what you call it? Just a strike?
Yeah, he threw a strike.
I'd call it a strike.
It is the go bowling track for NASCAR.
Yeah. I will say that the racing overall was respectful. It was really neat to see how fast those G86s could keep up in the corners, but then also how fast they'd go into your rear view mirror once you got onto the throttle. Like,
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was scary seeing how fast you would approach some of those cars, and you're like, please, for the love of God, stay in your line.
Yeah, I think like I said, just getting everybody kind of all on the track at the same time, it was something pretty cool, and it seemed like a lot of guys liked it and enjoyed it, and it's a stress-free race. It's just kind of out there to have fun. So there's nothing to gain, nothing to lose, and once we kind of have more off weeks, I'm hoping we can continue to kind of do some fun stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to I know Chris Hopper was one of the guys, dedicated road series guy, stepping out of that and putting himself into a cup car out at Watkins Glen and running that. That kudos to you, man. Those things they stop like cows, so you can't really get on the brakes like you can the G86 or the GT4s that they're used to running in the road series. But once you get the knack on them, they're pretty fun. Eric, you got anything to touch on the fun race?
Watkins Glen was fun. I didn't have so much fun at Charlotte. So, same deal. I just couldn't get into a rhythm at Charlotte and really didn't practice at all. So, practicing does tend to reflect how your race is going to go.
For sure. There's one thing I'd like to point out before I hand it over to James on his thoughts. I was surprised at how well the trucks could actually keep up and pass the Xfinity cars at Watkins Glen. But how well you guys could kind of keep pace for the most part with the Cup car. That really says a lot about the this I guess the disparity between the new Cup car horsepower package and what the trucks are running.
Mhm.
James, what'd you think?
I did get a chance to watch both of them, and I watched the replays, and man, that was awesome. I hope I just love to see the participation of all the different guys in the league, and I think the multi-class racing. I'm glad that iRacing has finally done that. I don't know exactly how recent the multi-class racing is a thing for iRacing, but maybe it could lead to a different set of rules for one of the future seasons of Midwest Motorsports multi-class. I know right now they're doing the pros and the AMs in the road courses, kind of separating it up. So I don't know, maybe we could do a multi-class league in the future. I don't know what it's like to admin that, but could be a thing. But again, I just like seeing the camaraderie with all the Midwest Motorsports different leagues, getting the different racers together. I think we should do that more often.
Yeah,
Hey,
just
man.
to kind of one up you there with a multi-class endurance league series. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and I just want to touch on a couple more things here. Cup points. I didn't forget about them since they've been off for 2 weeks. Points really haven't changed. You got Eric Thaler, leading over top of Justin here. It's a 1-2 Thaler run. Justin only 11 points back. Dustin Reinstedel sitting there in third, waiting to strike, 28 points behind the leader. Heck, I made it into the top 5 somehow. So it's looking like it could be an interesting season. Justin, you think you have anything for Eric here in the upcoming schedule?
Yeah, we'll see. More road courses will be great.
Yeah.
There's
But
a few still. There's a
I
few
feel like
still.
I feel like I had a really good run last race at Martinsville and just kind of got caught up in some stuff, which is what it is. But I scored some chase points, so I won out on that end, lost out on the regular season points. But just seeing how better I've gotten at over racing, over the last few seasons, I can hang my hat on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I gotta see if I can find something for you too. I'm pretty far back, but I'm sure I could pull something out of my hat. It's cool to see Huffman up here, Jason Huffman, even though he's been having a raucous season. I mean, I feel like anytime I'm with that guy in the pack, he's getting doored. But no, I mean we got a good group up there. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna skip on down to the road series and take a look at our AM points. I'm saying that right, correct? It's not AM, it's AM.
Yep. Pro and
Yeah.
am.
Yeah, you guys can see how great I am with the Road Series terminology. We're going to go ahead and take a look at our AM points. It's looking like Sam Hubbard has the total points lead so far, with David Wortman behind him and Justin G in third place. Look at that.
Mhm.
You're going to have to give me some insight here, Justin and James, on the point structure. Is 546 points a monumental lead, or is that easy to make up?
It can be done. It's not crazy. So the point structure, it's I believe 200 or somewhere around 200 points per class win. So in the AM class, so basically he's David's within a couple wins or better. If he can maybe get a podium or something like that, where and Sam kind of more towards the bottom, he'll start to catch him.
All right. James, how do you see that shaking off on your side?
Yeah, this is the first year that we kind of split up any series into two different groups. So, it's kind of a learning process. The only way that we can, and this is just from what I understand from talking with everybody, please chime in if I'm speaking out of turn, Justin or anybody, but separating the AM and the pro drivers, deciding who's the AM and who's a pro was kind of a process and educated guess, I could say. So again, this is a learning process, and how many points they get again was a kind of just a shot to kind of try to keep things different. So it's a learning process. But Sam Hubbard has definitely been class of the field in the AMs, but Michael Odell has been really fast too, keeping up with the pros. So I think next year is going to be a more clear definition between the amateurs and the pros. And I use that term loosely when I say amateur because all these guys are putting in a heck of a races, road course and a GT4 with fixed setups, traction control fixed, ABS. The only thing you can change is the brake bias. So it takes a lot of skill to wheel around these GT4s, I think, and it's been really fun to watch. The Chicago Street Course was absolutely incredible. Sam Hubbard was on the pole and was leading for so much of the race with three pros behind him. I think Sam Hubbard and Michael Odell was in the mix too, and he's in the AM division. So Jason Phillips ended up winning the pro race at Chicago after a pit stop. I think Sam Hubbard, if I remember correctly, he got spun coming into pits. That was what it was, and didn't announce his pit. It was a really tricky pit entry at Chicago Street Course. So that's what happened there. And then after that, Jason Phillips made his pit stop and came out ahead. Otherwise, I don't know that he could have got around him because he tried several times. I mean, half the race for 45 minutes, they were nose to tail in a freight train, the top 4 or 5. Justin was in a great race with Josh Bloom for half of the race too, right? Justin, you can talk about your race at Chicago.
Yeah, kind of coming in, I believe it's the fountain section. There's kind of a wall right on entry that kind of juts out, and just trying to keep pace, pushing maybe a little too hard. So it's kind of that I need to push to get to the guy ahead, but I also need to defend to keep the guy behind me, and just kind of misjudged my entry and just clobbered the wall. I don't know. I just took up half the track, and
Didn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah, Bloom was just right behind me, so tight. I felt terrible. Kind of ruined his race as well. But I just fat towed as quickly as I could, to get the car stopped and tow because it would have jammed up pretty much anybody behind us at that point. So it was a fun race. I didn't think I would like that track as well as I did, but I think it's a staple now.
He did the same thing by himself later. It's the pit out wall, I think, that you have to really cut it right on to keep the lap time. You can lose a lot of lap time if you don't hit that corner just right. So, but he did it by himself too. So you weren't the only one that hit it. So don't feel bad about it. It's one of those racing things. But again, the road racing has just been a lot of fun to watch. These guys are pretty serious about their road racing, and it's been really clean. A lot of side by side racing in a road course, which I don't know. It's been awesome. I'm a big road course. I'm a big NASCAR fan too, and an oval fan. Don't get me wrong, but I do like the sports car and road course racing too.
Works. We're going to touch here on pro points real quick. Max Bauer with the first position here. Jason Phillips in second. Joshua Bloom in third. Steve M. Hansel in fourth. And Justin Thaler in fifth. Looks like a pretty good point stretch there. 467 points between first and second. And then you're dipping down to almost 1,000 to 1,300 points behind from third to fifth. So it looks like you guys have some ground to make up. You think it's doable, Justin?
For myself, no. It's just been amazing. The competition that we've been able to provide for our drivers, I think, has it never been better. As James kind of said, dude, there's some of our AM guys that are fighting and consistently finishing higher than the quote pro division guys. So, everybody's at the season start. We had a system in place on how to place guys, but we also have a year end promotion up to the pro class. So it'll only keep growing, and the competition will keep getting better and better. And it's just been so much fun. We get quite a big field every Tuesday night, and the guys are clean, but they're also competitive, and it's just been awesome to see. And personally, do I wish I could do better? Yes, but it's just so much fun. I really don't care where I finish, and just like to show up and race with a good group of guys and a great community here.
Of course.
I just want to say one more thing about the road course points is that don't forget we got 2 drop races. So the bottom 2 races for everybody are going to drop off. So some of the guys may have missed a break already or missed a race or 2 already, and those will be their drops. Or some of the guys that have participated in all the races might have 400 points worth of drops. So it might get closer once we get down to the last, I think, I don't know what the number is, races once we get to 2 drops.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance. Yeah, that's right.
All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and start to wrap up this show here. What we like to start doing is kind of a look ahead to what's coming up in our week of Midwest Motorsports. We have the Road Series at Bathurst, correct?
Yep, that is correct. The last quote, it's not really, it's technically a street circuit, but a lot of guys, don't see it as one. But we'll be heading to Bathurst tomorrow night, so it should be hopefully a very eventful one in the product of racing and not carnage.
I was just about to say, Justin, if you could give me one word to describe what the race is going to be like, what would it be? And I was thinking carnage, but
no, I don't ever want to pull that one out. Mistakes happen. Our road guys are super chill, laid back, and they really don't get too upset about anything. It's all a racing incident, and everybody knows everybody else pretty well over there. So there's never any grudges.
oh, of course. But carnage could be somebody going sideways, going down the S bends into the hill, and it just takes me back to that endurance race where you told me not to wreck the car, and the first thing I do is bin it in that corner.
Well, our race director has been chomping at the bits to use his safety car, and he hasn't yet. So
All right, we'll see if we can keep the streak going there, man.
Hopefully.
James, how do you see it shaking out?
I expect a couple of people to hit the wall. It gets really narrow really quick, but it's up a mountain. It's on the side of a mountain with two really long straights. One after turn one that goes to the back before the uphill starts, and then it kind of narrows into a tunnel. It's going to be follow the leader through a couple of sections, but it's like a flat out section with turns. And if you apex it just right on the curbs, it might be just like a lift and a roll off the throttle and back. It's just, man, it's fun, and it rewards bravery, I think, is the way I would describe Mount Panorama.
So if nobody understands Mount Panorama, basically from turn 1 to turn 2, you have enough time to relax and have breakfast. Once you get up and through, and down Skyline from the back stretch to the third to last corner, you have time to have lunch.
Chase, yeah.
And then it's all over again. So, like James said, if you're brave enough through, once you reach the top of the mountain and coming down, between the sections between the long straights, if you're brave enough, that's where you're going to really prove to try and make time on somebody or start to leave somebody in your tire tracks.
Yeah. Eric, are you gonna watch the race on the stream or catch up on it later in the week?
Yeah, I probably will. I typically do tune in every once in a while to the road series races. I'd love to be able to run them, but unfortunately, my schedule personally can't fit into it. So, I do tend to tune in because it is exciting, and of course, I gotta listen to my guy James. So, I do enjoy tuning in at least.
Hey, don't forget, we're going to have Aaron Holroyd with us too on Tuesdays. So it won't be just me entertaining you. Aaron brings in a lot too. So
He does. This is good.
yeah.
Yeah,
This is good.
I'm gonna try and get in and watch a little bit of it and just see how everything shakes out and downhill turns. I think it would be near impossible to ask you two, James or Justin, who you think's going to win the race. Am I correct?
It's a toss-up. My very first ever league race in anything sim related was at Bathurst on Assetto Corsa Competizione, and I actually finished fourth because so many people wrecked out. So if I can maybe replicate that and get a good finish, then I'll be happy. But it's a toss-up, man. It's such a toss-up.
Yeah, I feel like that. James?
Whoever brings their bravest and doesn't make a mistake. I don't know that any car has an advantage. The Porsches might be a little more nimble in the twisties, but might lack a little bit on the straightaways to the Mercedes. I think I don't know, man. You got to run the race. That's why we watch, man. Tune in tomorrow night, 7 p.m.
Yep, exactly. All right. Truck Series, Friday night. They're going to Brands Hatch. If I know anything about that track, it can be a little slippery on those rear tires for the first handful of laps. So, truck drivers, beware when you guys are throttling down. Take it easy. Eric, how do you see this one shaking out?
Brands is fun. It's one of this is our international event. So a few seasons ago, we threw in a little international tour to each one of our series, and this is our our way of hitting some different tracks and whatnot. But Brands Hatch is it's racy. It's got some long straights. It's got some difficult turns. So it could be interesting. The 81 has shown that he has some speed on some road courses. Of course, Justin's going to have some speed as well, and if we get if Steve Hansel decides he wants to come back and race again in the truck series, he might be a contender up there with us. So it could be a little racy. we'll see what plays out.
Of course. I mean, you also have that 00 truck you gotta look out for.
Yeah. He tends to light it up on some road courses, so we'll see if he can keep it on the track. Maybe. So
Maybe a little bit of brotherly shove there off into a corner.
that doesn't happen too much.
Yeah. Justin, what are you looking for in brands?
Hopefully a win.
There it is.
I mean, I don't know what you expect me to say. Last year I had a good run there. So we'll see. It's like you said, it's tricky in the trucks. I really honestly don't enjoy driving the trucks on road courses. You just have to be really easy on braking and throttle inputs just because there's really no weight at the rear. But I love Brands Hatch and I'd race anything there. So it'll be one I definitely put a little extra practice in for just to get another feel for it and hopefully get it again this year.
Yep. James being the eye in the sky, what are you looking for?
If you think throttle control is a thing at the short flat tracks, throttle control is going to be times 10 at Brands Hatch, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep.
That's fair.
I agree. The Xfinity Series Saturday is going to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. There was another name for this, but it escapes me. It's Canadian.
Motorsport.
Mosport. Yeah. Eric, what are we looking for there?
Oh, geez. If Ben shows up, forget about it. But this one, again, this one's racy. It's another track that's got some long straightaways and whatnot. So, we'll see what pans out. But with the way our series is lined up, with no stage breaks and no cautions. It does come down to strategy and how you're going to run all the 41 laps and how you're going to set it up for the victory, right? So we could see some interesting events unfold with maybe some misbreaking points, or somebody getting together with a lap car or something like that. But it could be one to watch.
Of course, and I mean, much like trucks, you gotta watch the throttle on that. It looks like there's a couple long straights there, so I mean, it's gonna be an interesting race. I'll have to watch that one for sure. James or Justin, you guys have anything to add about Mosport?
I've never driven there.
I'll be watching.
Yep, exactly. And lastly here, Cup Series Sunday at Motegi. If I remember anything from last season, I believe it was a duel between Dustin and Justin for the lead.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep,
And
that's correct.
did somebody get wrecked?
Yeah, something happened at the end.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say wrecked, but there was something happened. But
Something. Okay. All right. I mean, I'm going to be participating in that one. If I remember anything from last season, I think I was top 5 most of the race, maybe top 6. I just couldn't find speed there. It's a tricky track. At least it was for me. I don't know why I couldn't get it off the corners. Eric, what are your thoughts?
It reminds me a lot of it reminds me a lot of
Arlington.
it reminds me of a banked gateway.
Gateway. Oh,
It's got long, so it's banked though, right? But it's got long straightaways, but it is kind of, it's got different turns and whatnot. So uh, I couldn't
it's hard
find
to
speed there.
pass. It's hard to
Yeah,
pass there.
exactly. I couldn't find speed there last year. We'll see if I can throw in some more practice laps, but again, it could be interesting. That next gen car does tend to toss some different winners in the book. So we'll see what happens.
of course. Justin?
It's hard to pass there. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I think I remember 3 and 4 being a little trickier than 1 and 2. But it's just going to be a lot of hitting your braking points on entry, rolling the car through, and trying to carry speed. But I mean, it's a fun place to race. It's just going to be maybe trying to work on different lines or maybe a little better tire management for a long run.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm interested in seeing if the oval refresh did anything with the tire wear here. And we'll see how it goes. James?
We will have commentary with Aaron and me, and might be running the cameras as well. So definitely going to be one you want to stream on Twitch if you can. Sunday evening, me and Aaron will be on the comms, and we'll have camera working too.
Yep. That's one thing I can praise. We have a good crew of people here. Our broadcast booth, you guys do a great job. Whatever you guys step into to broadcast. The admin team, I mean, we try our best to do what we can with the time we have allotted for the week. And we try to get as much done as we can. Thanks, Eric and Justin, for getting this podcast idea back up off the ground. Josh, thanks for going through and helping with graphics and everything. There's going to be more of these. We're aiming to do every Monday at 9 p.m. So tune in, guys, if you can. And like I said, we're going to start incorporating polls and a bunch of other things. So this thing's going to grow as we go. Anything, guys, before we end this?
No,
man.
I hope everybody here at the league had a great great new year, and we'll continue doing our thing from the admin side, and we look forward to every race with everyone, and to close out the seasons.
Ditto.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. Thanks, guys.
Yep. All right, everybody take it easy, and we'll see you all on the track or in the stream. Until next time.
Don't forget to stay in your lane.